The Riddler is the best Batman villain. Better than Joker, better than Two-Face, better than Mr. Freeze, Harley Quinn, and even Steve the Man with at least one living parent. I want to preface that this video has nothing to do with the new The Batman movie, even though the Riddler is the primary villain in that film. You'd think someone who's as big of a Riddler supporter as me would have seen it by now, but I'm usually one to wait till movies like this go to streaming, because the runtime is 3 hours, and I'm a man who likes to pause a movie when he has to take a fat piss, rather than watching the movie in agony. That or wind sprint my way to the bathroom hoping I pick the right time to not miss anything good. But when a movie is good, every scene is crucial, so that's not good enough. I'm presenting this thesis before seeing the movie because I don't want it to influence my beliefs, especially when I've already been a big fan of the Riddler for many years. If the movie goes along with what I'm about to postulate, then I'm going to be bouncing around like a happy camper when I finally get off my ass to bother to see it. In a bit, I'm going to go through with you one of my favorite Riddler comics ever made, and in fact, in my opinion, potentially the best Riddler comic ever made. It's probably not one you're going to expect. Here's a hint for you comic book nerds. It's not Year Zero, it's not Hush, and it's certainly not Suicide Squad XXX and Alex Braun parody, because the Riddler was barely even in it, even though everyone was in Harley Quinn. But first, we've got to analyze why some people out there, the people who are in the camp of the Marvel Cinematic Universe means the only superheroes I know are ones who are referenced in $300 million budget action movies, may not really appreciate the Riddler, especially not before this current Edward Cullen Batman film and the most previous Batman films being really big and loud and explosive. Oftentimes the Riddler just isn't written well, at least in terms of being unique or interesting. A lot of his plots end up being in one of two categories. One, they have him spout one-liners you'd read in a 99 Amazing Riddles to make your kids feel like fucking dumbasses book. This is the Riddler mainstream audiences have known since before the Dark Knight trilogy moved Batman into a darker tone mainstream-wise. The Riddler can be so much more than a man behind a door screaming, "To get the key, Batman, you'll have to solve this riddle. I have 4 legs in the morning, diarrhea in the evening, and at night, I fuck my dog. What am I?" It's usually pretty lazy when the writers go this route because the Riddler isn't really a character. He's more of a plot device. Oh, here's a one-liner riddle, and the solution to that riddle is the exact thing I need to progress. What? The riddle solution was a key, and we need a key for the door? That's so clever. This works okay when it's campy Batman, but even then it's thrown out as just a joke most of the time. And the riddles range anywhere from children's stuff to you would have no way to solve it, and that's the joke.
36 inches in a yard, or 3 feet.
And who has 3 feet? You?
No one.
Or no man? I seem to recall a recent announcement of a factory opening by that name. Robin, activate the remote bat computer again.
Riddler in this category often devolves into man who does generic supervillain plot and throws in a riddle every 10 minutes. Jim Carrey's plot in Batman Forever was to use television waves to create a mind control device. That's not a riddle. That's stupid. Number 2. They make him Mr. Puzzles. This is typically how they represent Riddler in the video games, as well as the more modern Batman stories. I actually think the Arkham series did a really good job of this. You gave the Riddler tons of puzzles, challenges, games, and more 99 amazing children's haha funny riddles to solve to collect all the Riddler trophies. The Telltale Batman games also went with this approach, and it worked fine. Riddler here takes on the persona of Jigsaw, or the Zodiac Killer, or the purple guy from Fredina's nightclub. This isn't a bad way to portray the Riddler. In fact, it's quite effective if the mystery surrounding Riddler's doohickeys and death games are a greater plot that has something compelling to it. But sometimes it's just an excuse for the writers to come up with shallow death traps and cliche no-win scenarios. Now, to be fair, they're entertaining, and most of the time they're a lot more interesting than Riddler reciting the Pledge of Riddle Allegiance over and over again. The larger issue I'm getting at here, though, is the Riddler often portrays small riddles for a quick laugh or two, but rarely a satisfying big story riddle for the audience to actually solve. Riddler often isn't the main villain in Batman stories. He's a side character for writers to throw in a sprinkle of mystery, but never go anywhere with it. Riddler works best when there's a mystery that you can actually solve while watching. When you, the viewer, are able to figure out what's going on with all the pieces Batman is given within the context of the story. Batman having access to the crime database or encyclopedic knowledge of any and all basic riddle solutions or random Gotham factoids he can pull out of his ass shouldn't be the solution to a Riddler story. Batman is first and foremost the world's greatest detective. Riddler plotline should be the time for him to shine like Sherlock Holmes. Give him a good twist ending with all the clues that you need shown during the comic or the episode or the movie to figure it all out yourself before Batman does your homework for you in the end. To exemplify this philosophy, allow me to share with you a comic that blew my mind. I sat stunned in awe for palpable minutes after I finished reading it. Jesus Christ himself knocked on my door and said, excuse me, Huggbees, I'm back. This is my second coming. And I said, fuck off, Jesus. I'm experiencing pure rapturous bliss here. I think this is easily a candidate for one of the best Riddler stories of all time, and a showcase of what you can do with this character that most people are either sleeping on or just using in a lazy, predictable way. I'd like to share with you The Riddle from Batman Black and White. Batman Black and White is a collection of self-contained Batman short stories drawn in black and white. The Riddle is a choose-your-own-adventure starring the Riddler and Batman, and you'll find the story I'm talking about in Volume 5. If you're already piqued with interest and about to burst with intrigue juice, I'd highly recommend pausing this video and reading the comic yourself, then coming back and finishing this video, and then watch this video again after you read the comic to see if you agree with my breakdown, and then watch this video a third time so my fat analytics and ad revenue gets stacked to the ceiling. This comic gains a lot of entertainment value when you choose to play the adventure yourself, but don't worry, for anyone who's lazy like me, I'm going to break down the whole comic for you here now, recreating the exact path that I took when I first read it myself. Coincidentally, it's a path that showcases every single outcome in this Choose Your Own Adventure, and I think it perfectly encapsulates what makes this story so spectacular. If you want to read the comic yourself, you can buy it on most digital bookstores like Kindle or what's the Barnes & Noble thing? Nook, I think, for like $5. Or the hardcovers on Amazon for $30 if you actually want to collect books. No one does that anymore, but you know. Or there may be a way to read it online. I don't know. I would read. Oh God, read. Oh fuck, Jesus, read comics online. Excuse me. I don't know how you would do that. I'd never endorse that. Since this is a choose your own adventure, I'm going to be cropping each page to only show you the relevant panel that we're on. Like this! So that way none of you can cheat and look ahead. But here's what the pages look like as a whole so you can get the idea. As you flip through the choose your own adventure, you'll find that there's going to be 8 pages of 5 panels each, meaning there's 40 panels in total. Let's get started. Up for my challenge? Or is everyone going to be late? Come on, not see you later. What does Batman do? Enter the unmaze as quickly as possible. Go to 5. Not fall into the Riddler's obvious trap. Go to 3. I initially decided I wasn't an idiot, and I didn't want to enter the obvious trap. So I went to 3. Oh no! Batman tarrying meant Killer Croc had all the time in the world to eat all the orphans from every single orphanage in Gotham. Go to 4. I was a bit confused as to why this is a bad thing. Who likes orphans? Needing food and shit? Whatever. Go to 4. Not see you later. So not see you later, alligator. An alligator is not a crocodile. Everyone is late, as in dead. I am such a fool. I must retire, not least because I have no more sources for robins. Edward Nygma wins. Obvious joke ending. Just trying to play it off with like, hey, come on, play the game. You know, maybe you should do the fucking maze. So we'll go back, we go into the maze. Panel 5. Batman bursts into the unmaze and stops Killer Croc from killing all the innocent orphans. He is presently Unkiller Croc, which will always leave him annoyed. To head further in, go to 10. By the time Batman reaches the first chamber, Croc has slipped away, and the Riddler has revealed himself. I'm sure you won't go to pieces, Batman. If you move quickly and dive through the hole, you may be able to capture him. Go to 11. To just complete the puzzle, go to 16. Circumvent the puzzle by blowing your own hole through the wall with explosives. Go to 6. I really wanted to fuck the Riddler. I wanted to end his stupid shit. I wanted to punch him in his dumb domino mask and bowler hat face. So I chose to go to 11 and dive through the hole. Oh my god. Oh my god! Look out for the French revolutionary youngster who has a secret identity and... Oh, too late. It was a hidden guillotine! Edward Nygma wins. So we learned that hesitating's not gonna work, but neither will being reckless. Let's try again. So we go into the maze, we proceed further into the maze. We know diving through the hole instantly gets us killed, so let's circumvent the puzzle by blowing our own hole in the wall with explosives, so we can chase after Riddler. Go to 6. Go to 26 to head through your new passage. To chase Riddler further into the unmaze, go to 15. Before Batman can catch the Riddler, he escapes into the mirror maze. Batman's about to follow when he gets a signal from Alfred. Master Bruce, I had the strangest message. It says, what's a hero without a thread? Theseus without Ariadne's thread to navigate the labyrinth? Dead. Nygma's saying I need those plans, but it's clearly a trap. What to do? Just head into the mirror maze, go to 37. Cut your way to the plans, go to 7. You get a little bit of the quippy Riddler here, but you don't need to know Greek mythology or have played Hades to figure this out. Batman tells you the answer to the clue, so that way you still have all the information you need to figure out what to do. That's good, and it'll be relevant later. We learned last time that being reckless is dangerous, and the Riddler even warned us with his riddle. So let's cut our way to the plans. Batman tries to make the cuts as quickly as he can. Go to 24. Batman tries to make the cuts as quick as he can, which means cutting the shape of the bat symbol on the floor instead of a very convenient circle or square. Okay, to whoosh through the air. Go to 18. The plans are here, but so are Killer Croc and the Riddler. Batman has to prioritize. To first defeat Killer Croc, go to 29. To first defeat the Riddler, go to 33. To first get the plans, go to 12. You go for Croc first. Riddler is all brain and no brawn. Killer Croc was going to eat orphans earlier. Fucking eating orphans is his power source. You want to disable him first over the guy who reminds everyone in Animation Appreciation Club that a katana realistically could never cut through an M1 Abrams tank. Killer Croc's a fighter, but Batman's Batman. Go to 14. Batman also happened to bring some anti-crocodile bat spray, otherwise known as heroin mist. But Batman is outnumbered. Edward Nygma wins. Shit. You know, I really thought that was going to be it. I really thought that was going to be the solution. I mean, I may not have noticed back there that Edward was inducted into the Power Rangers in between panels, but that's fine. Let's rewind, and instead of going for Croc first, we're going to go for Riddler first. I'm going to bust his ass into 4 equal pieces like a Kit Kat bar, and then we're going to focus on Killer Croc. The suit's formidable, but Batman is Batman. Something like this won't beat Superman. It's not going to beat me. Now where's Croc? Where is Croc? Go to 35. Oh. Okay. Let's start over. We're going to go into the maze. We're going to get to the puzzle. We're going to blow open the wall. And we're going to chase Riddler. Ah, see, I should have paid more attention. Batman directly points out that the plans are clearly a trap. So I should be heading directly into the mirror maze. We go to 37. Better to press on rather than play Riddler's game. Go to 9. A maze is bad enough. Lasers in a maze? Go to 38 to try to get through. The maze is a challenge that Batman believes he can traverse. Go to 19. The Batman is mistaken. Edward Nygma wins. Fuck me. Okay, fine. Riddler, fuck you and fuck me. I'll solve your stupid puzzle. Start over. Go in. This time, we're solving the puzzle. Batman is the world's greatest detective, so identifying the correct piece is hardly a challenge. Go to 32. Wait, this looks ominous. To get rid of the piece, go to 31. To complete the puzzle, go to 36. Fuck that. That's a bomb. Get rid of the piece, Batman. Throw it away. It's definitely gonna explode. Or gently put it down on the ground 10 inches away from your face. That's fine too. Don't try to hammer throw the obvious explosive, just anally put it down. Another pro tip, Batman, if you use your organs to reduce the shockwave of the explosion to protect nearby orphans, then your organs will harmlessly liquefy in response. Okay, so we'll go back a step, and it seems my only option now is to just complete the puzzle. As Batman places the piece, a circuit is completed. He hears a click, and then nothing else. Edward Nygma wins. Wait a minute, the explosive piece exploded? No fucking way. This game cheats. It's unrealistic. And it was here that I got genuinely stuck. I thought I did every single option. I reread through everything and did this all 2 more times and was absolutely sure there was nothing else to do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may not know about me, but I suffer from a medical condition. I don't talk about it a lot on my videos or anywhere else because I just don't want it to cloud my work. I don't want it to shade your opinion of me. I don't want it in any way to preface how you think of my videos. But long ago, it's been around since about I was age, I think like 6 or 7. I went to the doctor. They diagnosed me with it. I went with a follow-up medical, like mental doctor, and they confirmed it. And I do a lot of exercises and a lot of practices to try and get over it. But it's still something I have to live with. And I never want to make it the aim of my videos. I never want to use it as a crutch. I just want to make my stuff and put it out there. But unfortunately, I suffer from being a fucking moron. If you were paying any fathom of attention and not using this video as background audio, which, hey, I really don't mind, my view counts go up either way, then you probably heard and saw me talk about a final option that I haven't explored yet. You remember when we cut the hole in the floor to go after the plans? We didn't have to choose between Killer Croc and the Riddler. We can choose to go straight for the plans. I swear, the first time I ran through this, I didn't bother with it. I just didn't even see it. I forgot about it. Then the second time I ran through this whole thing, I saw it and I was like, no, that's an obvious bad option. That's just gonna get me killed. What's the point? There's no way. There's no way. So then, I finally decided to do it. It just seemed like such a wrong choice. And I'm gonna guess that for most people who read this at home, they're gonna agree. There's a man in a high-tech supersuit and an average Florida resident in the same room looking to kick your ass, and you decide to ignore them and go for a box on the floor? Okay. Batman needs to be quick to decipher the plans before his foes can pounce on him. Go to 30. He really needed to be quick like the Flash. Go to 27. As the life leaks from Batman, his eyes come into focus on the plans for the building. To try to make sense of them, go to 23. They make absolutely no sense. It's a literal death trap. Riddler's rules mean there's no way to win this game. Edward Nygma will always win. And here's where my reality crumbled. Here's where all the pieces fit together. I think some of you have figured out where this is going by now. Take a look at the first page as a whole again. Isn't it strange how the credits are in panel 2? But at no point are we ever told to read them? And I said earlier that this story has 40 panels. Why haven't we seen panel 40 yet? And beyond that, wouldn't you think for a story the actual ending is at the back? But we haven't even gone to the last page, really. Okay, let's do this all again. But instead of playing the game and following the directions, let's read this like a book and choose our own way through the maze. So first we'll go to 2 and read the credits, because we gotta give the authors their proper due. We're gonna skip 3, skip 4, skip 5, skip 6, skip 7. What? Where did you come from? It doesn't matter. I've still got plans. Ah, look at that. We found a back door to get behind Riddler, and now it all makes sense. The instant you start to play the game, you're playing by Riddler's rules. And according to the secret plans, that can only lead to Batman's death. Look at the choices here. Chase him in panel 13, boom, dead. Take him out with a batarang on panel 17, boom, dead. And the game even gives you hints of this outcome before you start taking this path. Go back to the first panel. This isn't a broken down fun maze with an F missing from the sign. It actually is an unmaze, meaning it's not a maze at all. It's a linear death trap. Each time you go through the maze, you will get a bad ending. And these bad endings are punctuated with Riddler's insignia, which is a question mark. Now, it's the mark of the Riddler, but it also turns these statements into questions. Edward Nygma wins? Almost as if to say, well, hang on, that's not right. maybe there's more to this, or wait, what Edward Nygma wins? What are you saying? And when you're reading this story to yourself, you're going to catch glimpses of these panels where Batman is winning and wonder, well, how do I get there? There doesn't seem to be any way to get to these choices. You're also told directly by Edward that without the plans, you're dead, meaning redoing the maze with the knowledge of the plans is the only way to survive. And hey, speaking of the plans, did you get a good look at it? Remember what they said. The Riddler will always win. Meaning, if you play the maze, Riddler will win. But that doesn't mean he wins in every instance. And speaking of the plans so many times, take a look at them. You see all those insignias? They're the same ones that mark every single bad ending. I even sent this comic to a friend after I read it. He saw the new Batman movie and found it mediocre. So I just told him, look, I know the Riddler's in it. I love the Riddler so much, I want to deep throat his stupid question mark cane. This is one of the best Riddler comics I've ever read. Read it and let me know what you think. He ended up taking a near identical route to mine. He tried to circumvent the puzzle, then he tried to cut to the plans, tried Croc and failed, tried Riddler and failed, went all the way back, did every other option, and then finally tried to go for the plans. Because his initial thought was, well, going for the plans is just going to get me killed. The writers intentionally wanted the majority of readers, or players in this instance, to figure this out as their final option. They put principles of game design and game direction in this comic, and they work soundly. Especially since more smart people who are better at math and stuff than I am might figure this out well before I did, and just do it from the get-go. I'm willing to bet a large number of you out there who read this comic on your own had a similar adventure to mine. With this new knowledge, we've taken control away from the Riddler. Only the Riddler's rules told us exactly what panels to go to. No one ever said we couldn't skip panels. You could have read this comic like a traditional comic book from the very beginning and gotten any ending you wanted from the very start, but we all assumed that we had to play the game to win. But now, we're dictating where we want to go in the maze and how we get there. Now, we're Batman. One step ahead of the Riddler and doing what Batman would do in his fights against the Riddler, using lateral thinking to get the upper hand. So let's keep going. Skip, 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 skip. What? You again? Impossible. But I think. Yes, I think I'm on to you. Let's try. Ah! The Riddler falls and drowns. There's no sign of his body. He's dead. Go to 28. And now the book's getting even more meta. Notice how these panels are in sequential order. We go from 20 to 21 to 22. We're not running around anymore. We're not flipping pages like a librarian looking for scribbled in penises. We are reading this like a book, as we want to. And they're calling out the fact that we're figuring this out and trying to trick us again. But we're not falling for it. We're gonna keep going. Batman knew it was too easy. The death was faked. Batman could sense the Riddler creeping up behind him. Go to 25 to surprise him. Now it wants us to backtrack, but we're not doing that. We're only making progress as we go forward, but it wants us to go back. Don't do it. Batman knows the Riddler is creeping, so obviously it must be a distraction. He does what he does. He does what he always does. It's impossible. It was my game. There was no way you could beat it. How could you? That's the difference between you and me, Edward. Only someone as sick as you could think this is ever a game. Pay attention to what Batman says here. It was never a game to him. Those options, those choose your own adventures, never even a thought. So beyond this being a very clever, fun Batman story, why is this such a perfect visage of the Riddler's character? Well, Batman's rogue gallery of villains is so effective because each of them reflects a specific part of Batman himself, and a path that he could have taken if he became a supervillain. They give him an equal, opposite antagonist to oppose. Joker breeds chaos and anarchy to combat Batman's sense of righteousness and order. Two-Face represents a corrupted sense of justice and casting personal judgment on your fellow man, opposite to Batman's moral code and belief in the laws of the people. Bane represents Batman's strength when used for selfish gains rather than the good of others. Mr. Freeze is if Batman's resources and technology were put towards desperate pursuits to cling to the past rather than enhancing the future. Penguin uses his privilege privilege, stature, and status to control the city of Gotham, while Batman uses his alter ego and the entire Wayne Foundation to liberate the people of Gotham City and provide them with everything he can. And while Batman tends to enjoy a vagina every now and then, Harley Quinn can't walk more than 7 steps without fitting at least 2 penises inside her. This parallel can be drawn for each and every iconic Batman villain. The list goes on and on and on. But the Riddler is something special. The Riddler parallels Batman's intelligence. Batman is smart. He uses those smarts to be the world's greatest detective. He puts his mind towards solving crimes and tracking down criminals. He works in the shadows, and while he may leave a calling card, he has often saved the world more times than anyone could know, and without anyone even knowing the world was in danger in the first place. The Riddler is also smart, often written to be as smart as Batman, and sometimes even smarter, with the power dynamic being shifted by Batman being more clever or a better lateral thinker. Riddler utilizes his brain power to inflict mental superiority over others. He needs to be better than everyone else, and he needs everyone to know this fact. He's a man consumed by ego and will sometimes foil his own plans just to make sure people were aware that he was behind all of them. I mean, what sort of supervillain would leave the literal plans to his death trap maze in the fucking maze? It's because Riddler needs Batman to know just how intelligent he is when coming up with it before he dies. And all of this culminates into one point that makes him such an effective villain that I think is more entertaining to watch than any other Batman villain when done correctly. Because the Riddler is so smart, the writers need to be smart. You cannot write an effective Riddler story without your writing being clever, smart, subversive, or creating an actual mystery. Every other Batman villain can be written into a plot vaguely related to their character and thrown in a stereotypical superhero story of villain has evil plans, superhero swoops in and kicks their ass. But with the Riddler, that doesn't work. You could have Joker flying around in his Joker copter, spraying Joker semen all over the entire city, and it'd be in character. Bane could have an entire army of venom-soaked luchadors that he imported from Mexico to kill Batman, and it'd be fine. Harley Quinn could take over an abortion clinic and rename it Happy Harley's Home for Hepatitis and Sex Holes, and everyone would say, yeah, that makes sense. Riddler really only works if you're playing with the audience, when you've got him doing something with a twist to it. You, as the writer, need to figure out an internal hidden framework to the Riddler scheme to really give it weight and create a good in-character story for him. Riddler is and has been the best Batman villain because he requires thought to do well, and his best stories are often ones that leave you thinking long after you've read them, wondering what clues you may have missed and details you overlooked, and you're even thinking hard during the story saying, okay, what's going on? How's Batman going to figure this out? Oh, well, what does this have to do with what's happening? Even though everything you need to figure it out should be in the story itself. Riddler cannot be written as just another ass for Batman to kick. He has to be written as an equal mind to conquer. And that for me makes him infinitely more compelling than villain number 894 and his motivation of, Gotham City should burn because it has too many hookers. So with all that in mind, I guess the point of this video is, should I bother seeing the new Batman? I've heard the most mixed things about it, and man, it's just so hard to want to sit through a 3-hour movie lately. Especially since, like, with TV shows, you get to break it up into segments, and they spread out the story, and it feels a lot more digestible. I mean, I'll probably see it anyway because it's Batman, but okay, regardless, I'd love to hear, especially from those who saw the movie, what you think of my theory. Because I have a giant ego. But more importantly, I'm curious how this stacks up to the new movie Riddler, and if it's given some of you out there a new appreciation of this character. Because, unfortunately, he's either like grim, dark, fucking torture chamber serial killer, or quippy, haha, riddle me this Batman. And I think he's so much better than that. There's so many better things you can do with this. You know?